On the other hand, it would probably be better for everyone involved if this was not a video podcast.
I know, man. People are used to seeing this handsome fella, and now they've got a mongoloid.
I think that's still just perfectly true. Handsome fella. Whatever it is you are down there. What's up, everybody? NBA Strategy Show.
Take your hat off and see if that answers the same.
I'm good, man. Look at this. Even with the hat off, I'm still looking fresh.
Look at that. Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone 1.
NBA Strategy Show, December 30th. Monday, kicking the week off as we slowly get ready for 2020. We are brought to you by Yahoo Sports, the presenting sponsor of this show, of the Deeper Dive, the Early Bird podcast. Got a ton to talk about. 6-gamer, so Laffy and I should be perfect to get you guys out of here right at 11 a.m. Eastern. We don't have anything in front of, or anything after us, correct? There is no NFL strategy show after this.
That's it, man. It was yesterday was the last day. It's week 17, a crazy week 17 too. It was pretty fun. The Dolphins beat the Patriots in Foxborough. Phenomenal. You gotta love Ryan Fitzpatrick. Pat Shurmur's gone from the Giants. Skins head coach is gone. Jason Garrett's probably going to be gone. My Eagles snuck into the playoffs, which I felt like absolute dog shit yesterday, but that was the one thing that, pulled me through it.
Dave Blakeney said, "Oh dear God, they're going to go right up to lock." Honestly,
yes,
it would be close for us. We could probably
yesterday.
Do it.
Oh yeah, we easily could. Yesterday, I was feeling so nasty that I went on for about 3 minutes on the NFL Deeper Dive, thinking Teddy Bridgewater was still on the Vikings.
I sat here laughing behind the scenes.
It's crazy, man.
I think he's been on 2 teams since then.
Yeah, probably.
Well, he was on the Dolphins, right? Or was it the Jets? Jets.
Was it the Jets?
He was on the Jets, and then now the Saints. Great work here by our lead NFL guy.
I did win our Awesome Fantasy League, though.
Well, there you go. Cool. There you go. Who'd you have? No idea.
I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of players.
Christian McCaffrey. I'll just name guys that were good.
I also no, I didn't have McCaffrey. Funny enough, I also had a side bet with our boy Chris Randone. So yeah, I mean, making some noise, and we had the Awesome Charity League too. Who won that? I know Nolan was in the championship, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to see because we had a lot of really great NFL minds that were in that. Christopher Harris, Evan Silva, JJ Zachariason, Pat Mayo was in it. We had a ton of really, and Roberto Luongo was in it, goalie for the Canucks and Panthers. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. We'll do it again next year. And the winner was Pat Mayo. Pat Mayo took it down.
Ooh.
Nolan was second, and Alex Baker was third.
I'm more of a mustard guy. I'm not actually. I love Mayo, and I don't know Pat Mayo at all, so I assume he's a great guy.
Yeah, I can only assume. No, he is.
I feel like that draft night was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, I wish it was.
We got a lot to talk about. 6 games, lots of injury news hanging in the balance. Appreciate whoever just said to Rakondo Crutchfield, Josh, you look thin, brother. Yeah, I am thin right now. Not the right way, but I don't think anybody complains.
How much weight did you lose?
Like 13 pounds.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're almost a third of the way there.
Low 190s, yeah. Gotta keep it off now. That's the plan. You sound like you're going to be right behind me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the flu, but still don't feel good.
No.
You can hear it in my voice. I mean, my voice is shot.
Yeah. You do sound like you've had a cigarette or two.
Well, I'd be lying if I said I didn't.
There you go.
But that's not my fault.
I'd love to know, is that the fault of Camel and Marlboro?
Newports, but yes. It's not my fault.
Hey,
I can't help it.
Got to get that fiberglass wherever you can find it. Last night, leading scorer on the NBA slate. Obviously, fan of the most popular man on our Twitter account, Lonzo Ball. 59 fantasy points. It's amazing that he was able to pull that off. We were strangely silent.
Yeah, that's odd, isn't it?
Yeah. 59 fantasy points, went for 10.9x. Now he had a bundle of threes out of the gate. Next closest guy, Brandon Ingram, 46. So you had to have Lonzo, I would imagine. We will get into that in a second. Highest owned player of the night, Austin Rivers. One of those Sundays. Final, well, I mean, obviously we'll still have NBA slates over the next couple Sundays, but not the same sort of NFL package going on. Austin Rivers, chalky. Luka Doncic, chalky. Terrible. LeBron, chalky. Not all that great. Isaiah Hartenstein, chalky. Was pretty good. 13.1x. The highest value player of the day. Followed closely by Eton Moore and Chris Clemens. I'm really bummed that I missed this slate.
Yeah, I didn't play any of it.
Nor did I. I haven't played much at all. Basically played like one NBA slate since last Friday.
Did you see that one guy? He deleted a tweet. He goes,
I did see this.
Was the other day. He goes, wow. Josh wins 10K 2 weeks ago, and Laffy just congratulates him now, shaking my head. Like
the first we spoke.
Literally the first show that we did, and it wasn't 2 weeks, it was 1 week ago, and you were basically dead for 7 days.
Yes. Yeah. You and I had not spoken since then.
Hardly a big deal. But let's not try and make it seem like I was like, yeah, let me purposely wait 2 weeks and then say, hey, good job, Josh.
We have an internal DM discussion where we would be significantly more likely to bust the other person's balls for things like that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. It's not all public for everybody.
We need some privacy in life.
We do. As
public figures.
Yikes. Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Isaiah Hartenstein, Derek Favors, Chris Clemens, LeBron James, De'Aaron Fox. That is the winning lineup. Last night's excellent 8, 50K to first for Shano 53. I see the familiar 1-800-EDDIE name in the top 20. I think old 1-800-EDDIE's having himself an NBA season.
Dude, he's very good.
He is very good. Unheralded. We need to get 1-800-EDDIE on a show someday.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we can pull that off. I don't know if Eddie has any interest whatsoever. Given the fact that we've been doing this for 2 years now, he's had plenty of shots. I don't think it's Eddie's bag. Doesn't need it. Just too busy dominating on the back end, making sure everything works for us.
Yep. Adam Best says, I thought 1-800-EDDIE was Fast Eddie Fear. No. No, 1-800-EDDIE does a lot of our back end stuff.
Yes.
And different person.
He's one of the original Asimos. From the beginning, man. He runs the tech side of this joint. So kudos to 1-800-EDDIE for showing up once again in the top 20.
Yeah, Fast Eddie doesn't play because of his other job.
So congrats to Shano53 for picking up 50K last night in the excellent 8. We've got 6 games to talk about for tonight. And we need to talk a little bit, at least before we get started, about Yahoo Sports. They are the presenting sponsor, as I mentioned when I led this off. I'm grabbing the link to Emacs Cash Building Blocks article. Boink. Drop that into chat right now. Highly recommend you read it. It'll make you feel a little bit better about DFS. You can follow the link at the end. Use the promo code AWESOMO. Get up to $30 in YSRPs. Those Yahoo Sports rewards points. You're going to see softer competition. A lot of 10 max contests. Lower management fees. Lower management fees is going to be the big one. Anytime you could pay out less just on a day-to-day basis, going to make yourself a little bit more scratch, a little bit more scrizzle, as the kids say. Kids don't say that. I don't know what I'm saying. I still have some of that flu medication like stuck in the meat of my body. It's making me dumber, man. Making me a lot dumber.
Is that how the doctors described it?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, son, you still got some flu meds in the meat of your body.
That was a direct quote from the doctor, I might add.
I figured. Yeah.
Tell you what, when I went to urgent care, doctor that came in to see me came in a walking boot with a Band-Aid on his right eye. I was like, maybe you shouldn't be the guy telling me about this.
Have you seen the Verizon commercial where he's basically like, where she's like, is the doctor good? She's like, he's okay.
Yes.
And he comes in, he's like, just got reinstated. Like, you scared? The guy says, yeah. He goes, me too. Well, it'll be all right.
That's pretty much how I felt. He was just like, well, here's your flu medication. Does anybody have a compromised immune system in your house? Yes, my dad does. Okay, well, we'll give it to him too. Okay, cool. Let's just hand it all out. Do what we need to do. Read that article. Sign up at Yahoo. Use the promo code AWESEMO for $30 in YSRPs. Sign up at awesemo.com. Go to awesemo.com/join. Use the promo code NBA Strategy. One big word. Get yourself 50% off your first week with us. You can come check out any package you want, whether that's individual sports, the NFL, NBA, NHL, golf is on its way back, soccer, MMA, big stuff coming there. Lots going on. You can check it all out. Use that promo code NBA Strategy, though, and you could get 50% off your first week. So this Cepacol extra strength sore throat thing that I just ate, that numbed the hell out of my mouth. So seems about time for us to kick it off. You ready for this? It's going to be a really weird slate to break down.
Never been more ready. Yeah, a couple significant injuries, and the Bucks are 8-point favorites on the road with Giannis questionable. Can't help but think that they'd be more than 8-point road favorites if he was healthy. Maybe not, though. Maybe not.
Yeah, it's not like the Bulls are very good.
No, I mean, maybe that is what it would be, but we've seen some pretty crazy lines with Milwaukee playing on the road and still being like 14-point favorites.
Well, it's going to be important if he's in or out because it's going to change the entire complexity of this slate. So, perfect time to start talking. Orlando Magic, Atlanta Hawks. Magic, 12.5-point favorites at home against Atlanta. Nothing too interesting from the Orlando side. Whether or not Mo Bamba is in is irrelevant. I have him in. If it's not him, it's Khem Birch. After that, it doesn't matter. Aaron Gordon is questionable. That is probably the biggest piece for the game. If he ends up out, we start to see a little bit more value open up. MCW going to continue to be out. So for me, first thing that I see, he's $7,900 Vooch on FanDuel. He's $7,900 on DraftKings as well. Picking up a little bit of ownership. John Isaac is at 30% on FanDuel right now. Terrence Ross is at 27% on DraftKings. The guy that stands out most to me is definitely Vooch on FanDuel. What do you want to do with the Magic against just a absolutely dreadful Hawks team?
Yeah, I mean, with Trae Young being out, it doesn't get any better.
No.
It gets significantly worse. I think Vooch is a strong play here. And just to point this out, not going to be worried about blowouts because it doesn't help to try and project that for, Orlando players that are generally already pretty affordable. The Aaron Gordon news could be big, though.
Yeah.
He's questionable right now with that Achilles. And I'm not sure how that's going to affect things. Like if he's out though, knowing that, first of all, Al-Farouq Aminu had a setback in practice like a couple of days ago. So he's not even going to be reevaluated for a while now. So there were minutes that you could have gotten there if Gordon was out. So you're basically looking at is Jefferson even on the roster? No, he is. Jefferson's still on the roster. He's playing like a minute per game. Khem Birch. Mo Bamba's also questionable to play. So I think those things actually could have somewhat of an effect here if, say, Bamba's out and then the backup center minutes have to go to, all to say like Kem Birch or something, and then you have to slide somebody up to play the 4.
Yeah, I think we probably see a little bit of like Emil Jefferson,
or Wundu.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's Atlanta, so maybe it doesn't matter all that much. Wesa Wundu's minutes become pretty firm.
Yeah, I think you would just see, Isaac get all of the run at the 4.
Yep.
And then you'd have to open something up at the 3, which shouldn't be that tough to do. Move Fournier. There's a lot they could do. They're not going to start Terrence Ross.
No.
But I don't know. Probably start a Wundu at the 2, maybe, or the 3.
They're going to have options, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac at 30% on FanDuel is the biggest ownership number there. And then Terrence Ross on DraftKings, 27% is the biggest number on DK. That feels high. Also doesn't feel like it's terribly risky. Atlanta's defense, honestly, is probably better now if Trae Young is out. All things considered, he is.
Yeah.
That's probably a benefit. They're just going to have no ability to create any offense.
Yeah, no, that's going to be really bad. I mean, they will have nothing. I don't care if if John Collins is back. Like, that's still going to be dreadful.
Yeah.
But so then what are you doing with Orlando? You mentioned Vooch, who I think is, perfectly reasonable. We still the Aaron Gordon news actually is big though, because that changes a lot against this Atlanta team.
5,700 for him on DraftKings too. Like if he is in, I like him a lot against Atlanta.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, if he's out, Wesa Wundu becomes a essentially minimum salary pay down option.
Mm-hmm.
Vooch, I'm interested one way or the other. Just a fantastic spot for him. Isaac at 30% on FanDuel. I mean, there's a decent... Like, if Giannis ends up out, John Isaac at 6,600 is the most expensive small forward. He would be the pay-up option.
Yeah, I'd have no problem with John Isaac here.
No, neither would I. Just doesn't strike me as the... I mean, I guess it does. He could have 100 steals in a game like this if there's no... They have no ability to create any offense. This is a terrible, terrible offensive team when Trae Young is not on the floor, and he is 100% not on the floor for this one.
Yep, already out. And you get a... Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Just say you get a very sizable pace increase as well.
Yeah.
So those are the type of games that benefit, guys like Gordon and Isaac, who can kind of stuff the stat sheet, but aren't particularly great scorers. The Hawks playing at the 7th fastest pace in the league. Defensively, they're 29th ahead of only the Wizards. And if you look at Trae Young this season with his on and off and compare it to the rest of the team, you just like the answer. Everything's pretty evident. They're going to be a lot. I won't even say a lot better defensively, but they should be better defensively. I'm pulling it up right now. But okay, so here you go. With him on the court, this is crazy. Their defensive rating is 115.6 with him on the court.
Yeah,
that would be the worst that would be right still behind the Wizards, but really bad.
Yeah.
With him off, 104.9.
Yep.
That's 11 points per 100 possessions better with him off the floor. Offensive rating, though, with him on the floor is 107. With him off, get this, 91.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, even though their defensive rating increases by 11 points with him off the floor, they're still, and we know this because of how good he is offensively, they are still significantly better with him on because their offense is so bad with him off.
It's craziness. Orlando should be able to do whatever they want, and defensively should be one of the easier nights of the year for Orlando. So cue up a Hawks win, I guess. I'm just going to rank these guys in terms of my priorities for FanDuel. Vooch would be number 1. John Isaac would be number 2. Evan Fournier would be number 3. If Aaron Gordon is in, he would be number 4. I don't have a ton of interest in anybody else after that.
Who was your number 2?
John Isaac.
Okay. Well, then, wait, you said Gordon was 4. Who was 3 then?
Fournier.
Oh, Evan Fournier. Okay. Yeah. Once you get past them, there's not a lot. Although Markelle Fultz on DraftKings is 4,800 if he plays 30 minutes, which he did last game. It's not crazy,
He's getting
but
love,
I
man.
mean,
17% owned right now.
oh wow. That's not a lot that's not crazy on a 6-gamer, but it's definitely up there.
But it's more than most of the dudes that are on Atlanta right now because,
Yep.
oh boy, nobody getting owned here except 37% owned John Collins on FanDuel. He's 8,300. He is one of the few things that have a pulse for the Hawks. And then DeAndre Hunter at 4,500 on DK is at 19%. Everybody else in single digits. I have essentially no interest in Atlanta outside of, I guess, John Collins.
Okay. Yeah, Orlando defensively has been not as great recently. They're 109.9 D rating over the last month. It's 16th in the league, but they play at such a crawling pace. I mean, bottom 5, bottom 6 all year long. It's kind of ugly. And with Trae Young off the floor, their pace doesn't change much at all. So, 103.9 with him off, 104.7 with him on. There's no significant difference there whatsoever. Yeah, it's tough because you would think with Trae Young off, it would open up a lot. I will say this much though. If you can get the Kevin Huerter where he's affordable, that becomes very interesting because I think you're probably going to he's been getting all the backup point guard minutes behind Trae Young, literally on the court for every second that Trae Young is off. He's just too expensive on draft. What is he at on FanDuel?
5,100.
See, I think Kevin Huerter's. I think it's very possible that he starts at point guard today.
Yeah, I gave him 30 minutes. Problem is he stinks. Like,
yep.
And great. Okay, that's not the right way to describe Kevin Huerter. He's overtaxed in the role that is going to be necessary for him. I think he's like a perfectly acceptable, like 5th starter with some potential as a young guy, but he's not ready for this.
No, but I mean, it's still worth considering that if you're playing 12 minutes a game at the point guard position and you go to playing 30, that's a really big difference. And a 35% usage player is off the floor.
Yeah.
So I think he's $13 on Yahoo. I would venture as far to say that even though we haven't gotten through every game, that he is a top value at $13 on Yahoo if he starts at the point.
Yeah, I have no issue with the $13 price tag on Yahoo.
$6K on DraftKings is egregious.
Yep, no chance there. $3,900 Alex Len. I have my eye on DK. Gave him 20 minutes at that price tag. Probably worth a shot.
How many minutes are you giving him?
20.
Okay. On Alex Len.
I'm not saying I like him or anything. I don't. The more likely scenario is that I wouldn't have a Hawk on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not crazy because he's still a quality per minute guy. John Collins is just way too expensive.
Yes. I have 37% owned on FanDuel right now.
That's crazy. I mean, he's $8,700 on DraftKings.
I would rather just pay $800 more for Bam Adebayo.
I would be more than okay with that. Yeah.
John Collins is certainly going to have some rebound opportunities because I can't imagine the Hawks are going to be shooting the lights out here against Orlando.
No, it's a tough matchup, man. It is. And I don't know how they're going to be able to move the ball. Like, sure, Kevin Huerter is interesting because he's playing backup point guard, but the guy clearly is not mega talented as a ball handler or a facilitator.
No, it's going to be a rough one. It's going to be real rough. I wish I had more here, but I think the Hawks situation tonight is gross.
Generally speaking, when you have a situation like this, where a 35 or so % usage player that's getting 35 plus minutes per game is out, it doesn't even matter what the matchup is. You really like certain players, but some of these sites preemptively price these guys up. That sucks. So that takes a lot of them out of play. Yeah, I mean, think about it. This would normally be a spot where we go throughout the entire team and have 5 guys we want to play.
Yeah, you would think, right? The 30-something% usage guy is out. We're going to have a ton of value. And it's just like, no, we don't have it at all.
Exactly.
Well, you want to talk about value? We might not even be able to break this down. I've never been at a bigger loss for words as to when I started working my way through the Washington Wizards today. Wizards hosting the Heat. Heat are 9.5-point favorites in Washington. Bradley Beal is questionable. Isaiah Thomas is now back. Rui Hachimura still out. Davis Bertans out. Thomas Bryant out. Mo Wagner out.
It's absurd.
I didn't know who to give minutes. Like, I started giving out all these minutes, and I was like, well, I can't give those guys minutes because that'd be 3 point guards, and then the 4th guard is also a point guard. And then I was like, oh, well, these guys are they're all really going to play like 30 minutes a game. I don't know what to do here. I left Beal in right now because I didn't know what else to do. Bradley Beal doesn't play. They should just be allowed to cancel it.
If Bradley Beal is out, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I mean, just none at all. I mean, I guess Gary Payton gets another 30 minutes.
Right. So here's the question. Let's start with Gary Payton because I expect him to be the guy that like most people are looking at. He's played 30 plus minutes in his last 3. 2 of those games didn't have Isaiah Thomas. 1 of them didn't have Bradley Beal. How many minutes does Gary Payton play if Bradley Beal plays?
So Beal was out the other day and he played 30 and Isaiah Thomas was in.
Right. Let's say that Isaiah and Beal are both in.
Oh, well, if they're both in, I want nothing to do with it. I mean, no.
Because he could still play 30 minutes because this team is a grab bag of garbage.
I
gave him 20 in this scenario.
He could play 30, but I'm not willing to risk that at his current price point.
No, he is the 2nd most expensive Wizard.
Yeah, that's insane.
Who you rostering his dad?
Right. No, the whole Beal. Oh, and let's not ignore the fact that this is a really unappealing matchup for Washington too.
Yes, about as bad as it gets from a DFS perspective.
So, I mean, that just adds to the disinterest for me. A lot of these prices, they're just like, I get that they don't have a lot of bodies, but it still doesn't make them that appealing, especially against Miami. Yeah. If Beal is out though, I probably would have a lot of Isaiah Thomas, and that would probably be the guy that I get to most because, you know, you look at, let's just take last game. I know it's only 1 game, but it at least gives us something to work with. Isaiah Thomas last game, I believe it was on the 28th, right? He attempted 21 shots.
Yep.
And I don't think it's unrealistic to assume that he could do the exact same thing or more in this game because really who else do they have? They have absolutely no one else to consider or to play. So yeah, I was actually trying to look up what his rates were with Beal off the court this year. Let's see. So I got it right here. Okay. So with Bradley Beal off the floor, Isaiah Thomas has only played 58 minutes. Wow. 35% usage rate, 1.83 fantasy points per minute, and a 46.3% assist rate.
Let's say this. Let's say Bradley Beal is in. Are you looking to play Beal here today?
If Bradley Beal is in, am I playing Beal? No, I don't. His price is down, so I can respect that.
It's not great, right?
Like it's not. I just really, really dislike this spot, and I think a lot. You know, Trae Young is out. Giannis Antetokounmpo might not play. Karl Anthony Towns might not play.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving is still out. And then Bradley Beal's questionable. Look at the top 6 priced players on DraftKings, everyone above 9K. Andre Drummond is the only one, barring another avocado incident, that is assured to play today.
The avocado incident.
Yeah.
Sounds like a string band.
It's actually catchy name.
Yeah.
Now, who do you play for? The avocado incident. Love them. But that's crazy, man. 5 of 6 are out or questionable.
So I hope Beal plays so that I could just ignore the Wizards.
If he doesn't though, it'll be interesting to see what Isaiah Thomas ownership is, because I probably will get to a good amount of Isaiah Thomas.
I know you haven't looked at this yet. So he is 5,400 on DraftKings. He is 4,700 on FanDuel.
Oh, I certainly have. I've looked. I looked across the board just to get an idea of where he was the best priced. He's 18 on on Yahoo. I mean, on FanDuel at that price with no Beal, even 54 on DraftKings, I think is 100% reasonable. So, just to go over what you said one more time: no Bryant, no Hachimura, no Mo Wagner, no Davis Bertans, and you've got a questionable Bradley Beal. So that leaves you with the only high usage guy, unless you really think like Gary Payton, even though he's not high, he hasn't been, he's just gotten a lot of peripherals. Yeah. The only high usage guy would be Isaiah Thomas, and Troy Brown would have to fill that role a bit too.
Yeah, so I don't mind Troy Brown for 5,500 on FanDuel, whether Beal is in or out. I don't hate the idea of going to $4,500 Jan Mahinmi, just because those minutes are pretty safe, all things considered. Like, he's going to need to play 20 plus one way or the other. I would rather just not have things from the Wizards.
Okay, I'm a little different. If Beal is out, if Beal's in, this is to be clear.
If Beal is out, I'm in for Isaiah.
Mm-hmm, right. If Beal is in, I want nothing to do with the Wizards. If he's out, just the usage on Thomas alone should be more than enough to consider him here.
Yeah.
And Troy Brown, I think, is also pretty viable. He has played well. He's going to get upwards of 38 minutes if the game is close. Probably won't be, so we'll give him 32. Those are the two guys for me. And like you said, a distant third would be Jan Mahinmi if you really were desperate for value.
Now, Miami side, a lot of ownership coming in here. Butler, mid-30s to even 40 on DraftKings. Bam is mid-30s to 40s on FanDuel. Goran Dragic in double digits. Derek Jones Jr. in double digits. I'm in for those first three for sure. Butler, Bam, and Dragic look like fantastic plays to me. Both sites, I would like to have a bunch of these guys. They should be able to absolutely eviscerate Washington. They have the highest implied total on the slate right now. This is a dream fantasy matchup. I can't imagine not wanting to have these guys from Miami.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy Butler on DraftKings is 7,800.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Like that's way too cheap. On Yahoo, he's 43. And that puts him up there close to Andre Drummond, right alongside Damian Lillard. 7,800 is very, very cheap. I know he hasn't played great, but I mentioned this, may have been to you on the Friday strategy show. I don't really think there's anything to worry about because matchups against Utah, the Knicks one, he only shot 3 times. He wasn't needed. Philly, another difficult matchup, even though he put up strong numbers against them last time out. And it's not like one stat or one category, a statistic fell off. It was just one day he wasn't getting the assists. One day he wasn't getting the points. One day he wasn't getting the rebounds or the steals. Like all of that stuff will come back into play. And we saw it the other night, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, a block, 25 points. And now you've got the best fantasy matchup that a player or a team can draw in the Wizards. The only concern is a blowout. But outside of that, no team has a worse defensive rating than the Wizards, and only a few teams play at a faster pace. I just absolutely love them here. I'm more than willing to play them. Bam Adebayo, 7,600. I don't get it. I don't get how he's gone from 8,900 3 days ago to 7,600 against the Wizards. None of this makes sense. So absolutely two of the best plays on the slate.
Yep. We are on the exact same page here. I sort of feel the same way about Dragic, 5,200. He just happens to be priced like sort of properly for this matchup. But I'm all over him as well.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Dragic.
Been playing pretty well as of late.
He is, and if you can give me if a reliable 30 minutes is really all you need in a spot like this, I think Dragic is perfectly reasonable. I don't really see myself getting to someone like Kendrick Nunn. He's still a bit too expensive. Yeah. Tyler Hero was the hero against the Sixers the other day with that strip from Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, what a just pathetic. He's 7'9", and he couldn't hold the ball over his head to not get it stolen from him.
Speaking of holding the ball over the head, did you see Boban doing that to Luka in like warmups?
No, I wish I did though. That'd be great. I wish I saw
It's a video
that.
from the stands. But Boban's just holding it up above his head, and Luka's jumping like a child, like trying to swat at it, and just can't.
That's awesome.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. So Butler, Adebayo, and Goran Dragic for me. Outside of that, there's not much. But let me point something out. Very important.
Okay.
Myers Leonard.
Yeah.
Was playing, his regular 15 to 17 minutes. One rotation in the first quarter, one rotation in the second or third quarter, never came back. I mentioned this on the Early Bird podcast with Dan Strafford last week, that we should be paying attention to his minutes because he had been he played the entire first quarter and then the entire second quarter in one spot. He didn't play the entire first and third. Sorry, I'm still sick here. But didn't play the second or fourth, but still played the entirety of both quarters almost. And then we had seen around 22 minutes, then less against Indy, and then 30 against Philly. Some of that is, I don't know, maybe they trusted his defense, but we're now seeing Eric Spoelstra with a willingness to extend Myers Leonard's leash a little bit, which at very, very, very cheap price tag against the worst basketball team in the league, I don't think it's crazy if you wanted to get a little bit of him.
I think it's a reasonable shout. You can never trust Eric Spoelstra's minutes.
Nope.
If you're right, you're going to look really good.
Exactly. And Kelly Olynyk is trending towards becoming a DNP-CD very soon.
So that means he's probably going to play like 26 minutes tonight.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
But I can only tell you what we've seen. I'm not going to, doesn't help to predict what Olynyk's going to do based on what he hasn't done, because that just gets you into more trouble.
I'm going to stick to those top three dudes. And probably that's going to be the end of it for Miami.
Yep. That's where I'm at too.
Chicago Bulls, Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks 8-point favorites as of right now in Chicago. Let's see if that line is still held. Ooh, I am seeing 6 now.
On who?
Chicago. Well, Milwaukee, but the Milwaukee-Chicago
really?
game. Yeah.
Well, that just tells me even more so that Giannis. Oh, yeah, 6. It opened to 6.5, moved to 8. Now it's back to 6. I don't know about you, but Bledsoe's expected to play, and there's still only 6. That has to suggest that Giannis isn't playing.
I would agree with you. I have him in for right now, but it's really not going to matter for discussion purposes. You know what to do if he's in or if he's out. Let's start on the Bulls side. I like a little bit more here than sort of the ownership is showing. Levine is at 15 on FanDuel, single digits on DK. Satoransky at 12% on FanDuel, single digits on DK. Wendell Carter Jr. is at 18% on DraftKings, single digits on FanDuel. Just not coming in all that much. Satoransky's minutes have been up lately. He is 5,800 on FanDuel. I'm a big fan there. Happy to get to Lauri Markkanen at 5,700 on FanDuel as well. I think the Bulls are kind of reasonable on FanDuel today, even against Milwaukee in what is just a terrible spot.
Yeah, and one thing is Milwaukee, if there's one area where they struggle, it's they allow a lot of three-pointers.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the Sixers broke records against them on Christmas Day from beyond the arc. So That's actually they're a very strange team in that they are allowing the lowest field goal percentage to opponents this year, the lowest in the league by 1 full percent. But they're in terms of 3-point percentage, Milwaukee's allowing the 7th highest. So that has been a spot where they've definitely allowed a good amount of production. No, only the Raptors are allowing more 3-point attempts per game, and no one's allowing more made threes than the Bucks. So when I do look at teams like this, I'm looking for guys that can score in spot up situations and have range, because that's the one area that they really struggle, and it's not around the basket.
Yeah, the 57, 58, and $5,200 prices on Markin and Satoransky and Carter on FanDuel are what stand out most to me. I don't expect to go too crazy on any of the rest of the Bulls. Does anybody stand out to you on DraftKings?
Levine is just too expensive. 8,300 to me is just a little bit prohibitive when you've got other players in equally as good spots or better. I mean, we'll talk about Middleton in a second. If we think Giannis sits, and the line certainly suggests that he will, how do you get away from Middleton? Jimmy Butler is $500 less expensive than Levine. Spencer Dinwiddie, Josh, is $600 less expensive than Levine. And I don't know if Wiggins is going to play. If Wiggins plays and Towns is out, Wiggins is $1,000 less than Levine. CJ McCollum is like $1,700 less. The list goes on. I just think with a lot of guys being underpriced, Levine is one of the few at his position that's actually overpriced tonight.
I agree. I have very little interest in Levine. Terrible spot for him, I think. He's got a gun, that's for sure, to try to keep the team in there, but I think there are a lot better options at that price tag and in and around that price tag.
Look, if he was 73, 7,400, if he was Wiggins' price, I actually would like him.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. And I think for Wendell Carter Jr., it's nice to see that he was getting more minutes. It's tough to say if this is going to be something that's consistent, but I don't like this spot for him. And then Lauri Markkanen, I have no idea what to make of this guy. He went home with an illness yesterday, was sent home from practice.
Yeah.
So I at this rate, I don't even know if the guy is going to play. So he remains questionable. And when he does play, he's been pedestrian at best.
On the Milwaukee side, I just went ahead and took Giannis out. Feels like he's not going to be on the floor. No sense in rushing him back. If that's the case, $7,600 for Chris Middleton is a no-brainer option. $8,100 on DraftKings, not so bad either. $35 on Yahoo. Just get him everywhere. He's the guy that you want. Do you have any interest in Eric Bledsoe?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No
question. I mean,
$5,600 on FanDuel, that is not bad.
Bledsoe, $5,600 and $5,700 on DraftKings. There's no way I'm not playing him. There's simply no way. He's probably alongside. Well, let's see. Is Ilyasova? Where's he at? That price has come up a ton on DraftKings.
But $5K on FanDuel is still in play for Ilyasova.
Yeah, 56 on DraftKings. I mean, I get it, but that's a whole lot different than like 3,800 or whatever he was before.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
On Eric Bledsoe, man, with Giannis out, you look at Middleton's price and then you look at Bledsoe's price. Bledsoe is easily a top option across the board. There's just no two ways around that. That price point, even if we didn't get lucky and he only plays 25 minutes, even if that's the case, you're still gonna get where you need to go from him. And every time Giannis is out, Eric Bledsoe gives you spectacular numbers. I would expect that to be the case tonight.
I agree. I gave him 26 minutes. We'll see where it stands. We get more information as we get closer to lock. They probably don't need to talk about any sort of minutes limit for him. The entire damn team is on a minutes limit for the entire season. So
yeah, I mean, that's the only concern, but it's not like he was playing 35 per game and now he might only play 27, right? Like If you give him, what are you giving him?
I gave him 26, but
okay,
we could find out that it's 20, and that wouldn't shock me at all.
I gave him 27, and giving Bledsoe 27 is pretty damn favorable. Just go back to like the start of last year and take Giannis off the court. You can take Brogdon off the court as well, and see what you get. Eric Bledsoe has it always does this. It loads. Okay. 30% usage rate, 1.54 fantasy points per minute, 36% assist rate. That's in 763 minutes with Giannis and Brogdon off the court. Obviously, you're going to get a good amount of Middleton playing with him, but Bledsoe still 28.5% usage rate, 1.53 fantasy points per minute, 34.5% assist rate with Middleton on the court and Giannis and Brogdon off across 555 minutes. Seriously, even across 26 minutes, if you just give him that average, and this is against the Bulls, that's still like 41 fantasy points.
Yeah, which would be more than okay. That would be right at the target score for me today.
Exactly.
Don't get the sense that I'm going to have much of anything else. A couple shares of Brook Lopez for 5K on FanDuel feels fine. 5K Ersan Ilyasova on FanDuel also feels fine, but Middleton is the key piece of all of this.
Yeah. It's basically just those guys for me, like you just said. DiVincenzo has been pretty disappointing.
He has.
George Hill, minutes are all over the place. He's priced up. Love Bledsoe, love Middleton if Giannis is out. And right now, you and I are going to assume that he will not play. Ilyasova, like you said, the price is fine, but expecting these monster double-doubles on 15% usage, 20 or 16, 70% usage is hard to come by.
It really is. Perfect opportunity for everybody. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Do all that good stuff. But please hit that thumbs up. Helps us out tremendously. It's a little different now. It's been 17 straight weeks of having the same information coming for a Monday. Not so fast, my friends. We don't have anything coming up immediately after this. I will have office hours today, 1 p.m. Eastern. Missed it last week due to the flu. But I will have office hours behind the paywall for everybody. Link will be dropped in our premium office hours channel. So if you want to check that out, come join us. Drop your questions in at any time. I'll go live for about an hour for everybody. So come check that out. Jake will have his NHL show at 4 p.m. Lofty will be back at 5 for the deeper dive with Adam. And I will be back at 6 p.m. live before lock. Myself, Chris Spags, taking you all the way up until 7 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Free content today. NBA strategy syllabus. A bunch of the NBA writers get together, put their answers in for a bunch of the bigger questions for the slate. We post that somewhere in the 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock window. We want to make sure that we're getting all the news in. Don't want it to become useless immediately. So keep your eye out for that as well if you are not a premium member. And if you're not a premium member, use the promo code NBA Strategy for 50% off your first week. Another game. Another gigantic question mark hanging over it. Minnesota Timberwolves, Brooklyn Nets. Nets 2.5-point favorites in Minnesota. Karl-Anthony Towns, questionable, has not played in a bit. Andrew Wiggins, questionable. I have Wiggins in. I have Towns out. Not really fun to deal with as of right now. Wiggins is in. 7,300 on both sites. Looks pretty good. I also like 51. This is your boy. Sign me up for some $5,100 Robert Covington on FanDuel. I like those two guys the most from Minnesota. Does anything stand out to you from the Wolves?
Now, let's be clear. Covington is certainly not my boy, but I do like him here. I mean, first of all, we got to see what's going on with the rest of this team. Jake Layman's ruled out. Might not sound like much, but he was getting huge minutes like a month and a half ago before the injury. So that could have changed things depending on who's out tonight. Andrew Wiggins is questionable with an illness. Karl Anthony Towns is questionable. In all seriousness, I don't really know where to go with this team right now. There's so many moving pieces that it's hard to say. Like Jeff Teague could be pretty appealing if Wiggins and Towns are both out. Shabazz Napier, that Minnesota messed with that starting lineup like 18 times last game. There was the reporting messes, whatever. He started and his minutes were still pretty underwhelming, but last game he got up 17 shots. His price tag is at a spot though now where it makes it easier for me to just ignore him. $11 on Yahoo, however, is a lot different. But yeah, I'm clearly waiting to see what the injury news is. Wiggins' price has come down. Brooklyn's defense has definitely played well recently, so I take that into consideration. But a lot of this is contingent on what do we get from Karl Anthony Towns, because if Towns plays, I like him quite a bit against Brooklyn. But if he doesn't play, it opens up a lot for the rest of this team.
Yeah, I have no idea what to make of Towns at this point. He's been out too long for me to just assume that he's going to be in. I really do hope Wiggins is able to play. I think he looks like one of the better plays of the day. The team just becomes his. If Towns isn't going to be there, he's a guy that I want to have a ton of at 7,300.
Yeah, he's been oddly underwhelming from a per minute basis.
Yeah.
with Towns off the floor, but I really don't see any way not to have interest in him when, even though he hasn't been stellar, you're still getting like easy 30+% usage. A close game, you're getting upwards of 39, 40 minutes. That's the type of production and opportunity that's very hard to come by at a low 7K price point.
Yeah, if we know that we're getting 30, like I've got him in for 36 minutes right now. 36 minutes in this spot, in this matchup.
You're going to get a lot.
I like it. I like it quite a bit.
But the rest of this team is just atrocious. Like whether it's Josh Okogie or Napier at 4,700 or Jarrett Culver, whoever they really decide to give the minutes to, you don't know. And the production has been lacking at best.
Like, I don't really need much Gorgeous Dong at 5,700 on FanDuel. He's 6,400 on DraftKings. Teague is the guy who is going to be the most interesting. The name
that's
that you need
who
to
it
keep
would be for me too. That's who it'd be for me too. Gorgie Jang, $22 on Yahoo it's not insane.
No.
57 on FanDuel isn't crazy, but 64 on DraftKings. There's no way I get to that.
Ooh, I agree. Yawning, can't stop. On the Brooklyn side, Spencer Dinwiddie in the 30s in ownership. He's 8K on FanDuel, 77 on DraftKings. I think this is a great spot for him. I have no problem at all getting to Dinwiddie. We're getting very, very close to him losing all of his fantasy value. So if you're looking to play Dinwiddie, today might be the last day. Karis LeVert knocking on the door of being back as well. Jared Allen is at 28% ownership on FanDuel at 6K. I think that stands out. I think Taurean Prince even a little bit. 4,700 on FanDuel, worth a little bit of a look. You trying to get to any Nets?
Yeah, Irving's out for at least their next 2 games already. He was ruled out for the 3-game road trip, of which I think they played one of them so far. So we'll get a little bit more Spencer Dinwiddie love, but you're right. It should. The Irving thing's weird though, man. He's been out longer than I expected.
Yeah.
So I think with Dinwiddie, it's just a price thing, and he's a nice. He's down $1,000 from where he was against the Knicks just a couple days ago, which is strange given that defensively. What do we can't pretend that Minnesota is much better. I mean, this is a good matchup for Spencer Dinwiddie, and I would anticipate myself having a lot of Spencer Dinwiddie on DraftKings at 7,700. Look, it's also a Minnesota team that is playing at a top 4 pace this season. So factor that in, 2 top 10 pace teams. One of them plays pretty solid defense, but the 218 over under to me actually seemed lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a pretty good I mean, it's all going to come down to what news do we have, but I think this could be a monster fantasy game, and it's not really showing in the ownership as of yet.
I agree.
Just because of all the
Yeah,
Q
or Vegas. I think this could be one that really happens to stand out, and it might actually be better if Towns does play because then ownership stays even lower. Meaning on the rest of the Timberwolves team.
Like, yeah.
And I don't know if Towns would be popular even if he played.
Given the lack of people to spend money on, he probably would be.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, who else are you going to try to get? I mean, if Giannis is out, like you said before, the most expensive guy on the slate is $9,300 Andre Drummond. You might
against
get him by
Utah.
Default.
Against Utah, yeah. Yeah, true. I guess we'll see.
I'll probably end up with a little bit of Garrett Temple on FanDuel at 4,200 just as filler. It's not fun.
Getting those backup point guard minutes though is pretty appealing if you're looking for a reason to consider him.
Boz Napier revenge narrative is tonight, but I guess it doesn't really matter much to me. I'm going to have a lot more of this game than I thought I would.
Okay. I would think so too. I think I will too. What's Dinwiddie's ownership right now?
35 on FanDuel, 30 on DraftKings.
Right. And see, that seems about right. I mean, he should be pretty popular here.
Yeah.
Jared Allen, his minutes are unpredictable, but he's actually been phenomenal on a per minute basis this season. It's just I wish you could get 32 minutes from him in good games, which you can, but it's very hard to come by. And normally you're projecting him for like 27 minutes, 28 maybe, really 27. And at that price tag, it becomes pretty difficult. But if Towns plays, I would like Allen more than if Gorgie Jang is starting.
That makes sense. I don't have anything else here.
I think we're good.
Utah Jazz, Detroit Pistons. Jazz 10-point favorites at home. Utah is relatively healthy, save for Mike Conley. But they're picking up a little bit of ownership here. The main four guys are all in double digits. Depending on the site, those numbers are kind of high. Donovan Mitchell is close to 30% on FanDuel, where he's 7,800. Bojan Bogdanovic is at 32% on FanDuel, 34 on DraftKings. I think that Rudy Gobert looks pretty good for 8,500 on FanDuel. I'm going to have a decent amount of all four of those guys. If I'm ranking them on FanDuel, it would go Mitchell, Gobert, Ingles, Bojan. So I think Bojan going a little bit over-owned. But ultimately, I'm more than happy to get to some of these Jazz guys. The Pistons just not very good. Bit of a walking wounded as well.
Yeah, I mean, if they're, the one downside to this game is that I don't expect to see a ton of scoring. Is it crazy or what though, that this game has only a 2-point lower total than Minnesota Brooklyn?
I would not expect that.
That is so strange to me.
I don't get it.
But I don't either. Jazz are 10-point favorites. Blake Griffin's not expected to play. Yeah, I like Rudy Gobert too. I even think, as a cash game option, he's just been so remarkably consistent. The minutes are there. And it seems like Quinn Snyder always, even in games that might get a little bit out of hand, if it's at home, he'll still let his starters run a little bit longer than they normally would, which I can appreciate. So big minutes from Rudy Gobert. I would expect strong results again. And you're going to need him out there at all times again. I remember we had a question once. It was like, do you think that Quinn Snyder will go small at the 5 against, so-and-so team? And it's like, dude, teams adjust to Gobert. He doesn't adjust to teams.
Right.
Yeah. And in this situation, Rudy Gobert defending Drummond is like the pivotal part of this game. If Drummond can do damage, if he can dominate the boards, Detroit might actually have a chance to at least stay competitive. But if Rudy Gobert owns him in the paint and around the basket, this game's going to be over pretty quickly. So it's not great spot for Rudy Gobert, but it's also at a price where I'm willing to get there.
Okay. Talk to me about the other three guys. Does Mitchell, Ingles, or Boyan stand out to you?
None of them stand out as particularly great plays. The same thing for Mitchell is what I said about Levine. You have Middleton, Jimmy Butler, Dinwiddie, McCollum, and Moore. All of those guys make it a lot easier to get away from Mitchell. Now, if you're looking at other sites, Mitchell $7,800 on FanDuel, I think is more than reasonable. 36 on Yahoo is okay, but once again, in that same tier, you've got Middleton, and Vooch is cheaper than him. I know different position, but just taking a look at guys that are priced nicely, Bam Adebayo, just so many like discounted guys, in my opinion, that it would be tough to get to Mitchell. And as far as Bogdanovich goes, the one thing is that you're going to get huge minutes from him. If he's out there, he's fine. I think the price is reasonable. I don't think he's a bargain, though.
I'm surprised he's in the mid-30s in ownership on both sides.
Yeah, to me, that was like one of the more surprising pieces of ownership we've seen.
Well, now we need to do it. We need to talk about the Pistons.
Do you see Christian Wood's ownership?
Yeah, that's part of what we need to talk about. So
it's insane.
Obviously, no Luke Kennard. Blake Griffin is doubtful. Markieff Morris is out. Christian Wood projected for 42% ownership on FanDuel right now, 68% on DraftKings. Both of those things are, to me, absolutely correct. I see no reason not to be getting to Christian Wood today. My favorite play of the day. But I love Drummond, 9,600 on FanDuel, 9,300 on DK. I think that he might go a little under-owned because of this matchup against Utah, but I'm a big fan. It's terrifying. Why?
Just because no Blake?
I got him in for 36.
Or is there something about this matchup that you think is appealing?
Well, it's not. I think, okay, a little bit of the matchup. Not that it's making a giant change for me, but I am not ever someone that's worried about Rudy Gobert's defense from a center versus center perspective. I'm more worried about Rudy Gobert's defense for someone like Derrick Rose getting to the hoop than I am for someone like Andre Drummond. But 9,600 on FanDuel, 9,300 on DK. To me, Andre Drummond is my favorite center of the day. I would like to get quite a bit there. Although, caveat, Hassan Whiteside's price on DraftKings is broken. So
yeah,
I'm going to have a lot of the Pistons. And I'm probably going to have a little bit of Bruce Brown as well, 4,600 on FanDuel. For some reason, he's only at 3% ownership. I'm not sure what I'm missing here.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. With Drummond, though, by the way, the only thing that worries me is that like Rudy Gobert really doesn't bite in the post on pump fakes. He will stay planted and make you look really stupid. And Drummond, does operate a decent amount in the post. But I don't think that's enough to say that I'm not interested. For me, it's a lot less the matchup. And I agree, the whole center thing, it's not a huge concern. You get more worried if a guard's trying to drive in amongst the trees. But, I mean, this season alone, if you were to take Drummond on with Griffin off, the numbers are insane. And let's see. So with Griffin off the court this season, Andre Drummond has 27.3% usage rate, 1.43 fantasy points per minute. He's rebounding at 26.5% clip. That is as crazy as it gets.
A big number.
Going back to last year, 1.42 fantasy points per minute, 20, almost identical numbers. So I'm with you there. I don't have an issue with it. Would you like Drummond over Towns if Towns is active?
What's his price?
10,000 on DraftKings. Drummond's 93.
It would still be Drummond for me. Towns being out for so long, I wouldn't expect him to just immediately come out and play 36 minutes. And I think even though like that's what he normally plays, so I think that I would have to go to Drummond.
Okay, fair enough.
Be close.
Christian Wood, though, like at this point, you just don't get away from him. Blake played 29 minutes last game and Wood still played 23. I know that game got out of control, so we have to at least consider that. But now that you have no Markieff Morris and no Blake Griffin, I don't see what opposite direction Dwayne Casey can even take here. So yeah, Wood played in the first half last game. He actually, wow, look at that. In the first half last game, Wood played 12 minutes. So the blowout didn't have a big effect. That game was competitive up until the late third. Interesting.
I think I would probably have 100% Christian Wood on DraftKings today.
Yeah, I think so too. Seeing 12 minutes in the first half is actually very encouraging.
3,800, there's no downside to that number. He's going to play one way or the other.
Yep, absolutely.
Has there been another situation where Markieff and Blake were both out?
I think there may have been earlier this year, but I can't remember.
Yeah, he's going to be close to a lock button on DraftKings today. And FanDuel, for that matter. 4,100 still really easy.
For sure.
Do you have any thoughts on Bruce Brown? I'm just a little surprised that he's not getting any ownership love at all.
Yeah, I think maybe some of that has to do with like recency bias. I don't know, it's really factoring like emotions into ownership right now, but the minutes are significant. You know what I think is hurting him? And I haven't heard it talked about all that much. I think one of the things that has made life a little bit more difficult for Bruce Brown is Derrick Rose had been seeing more minutes. And, even like 4 additional minutes for Derrick Rose, given his usage and, his potential assist rate and his touches, probably didn't help Bruce Brown. So I don't know how much of an effect that has. But with Luke Kennard also out, you have to think, and Mikhailiuk being not good,
yeah.
You have to give Bruce Brown another 33 minutes. He isn't shooting at all, Josh. It's really strange. What's his usage recently? Like 12%?
Minuscule. Which is the only concerning part to me.
Right. I mean, and he's had some good matchups, by the way. It's not like these are just tough spots. Bruce Brown has really, oddly enough, even at a guard position, been very disinterested, it seems.
Yeah, I had God, what night was that? This past Friday?
It was the one against Washington where he was atrocious, right? Actually, no, it wasn't, because he was decent in that one.
Oh no,
there was one where
it's the night I won. I had like
really?
75% Bruce Brown.
Did he have a good game?
No,
or a bad
played
game?
like absolute ass.
So the Chicago one, maybe? Yeah, it would. Yeah, Chicago, where he had 15 fantasy points.
Yeah,
played 33 minutes too. I don't have a ton of interest in Brown. It's a dog shit matchup too. It's a slow paced game, and it's hard to have it. If I ended up with a little bit, I get it because he's cheap and everyone's hurt, but I wouldn't say he's a priority at all.
I like him as a pay down shooting guard on FanDuel in particular. That's about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Let's close this out. Portland Trail Blazers, Phoenix Suns. Blazers 4-point favorites at home against Phoenix. Scal is out for Portland. Hazonia is questionable. And there's a lot of ownership coming into the Portland side. Dame Lillard, roughly 40%. Hassan Whiteside is at 25% on FanDuel and 50% on DraftKings. CJ McCollum is roughly 30%. Carmelo Anthony, roughly 30%. Even Kent Bazemore getting a little bit of love. I think we both agree on the same one on DK. Hassan Whiteside is the best option from the Blazers.
Yep. And let me say, how disappointing was he against Utah? I mean, bad games happen, but that was, a floor game from Whiteside. Just dismal in that game that actually ended up getting competitive. And then he returns, plays 34 minutes, puts up 19, 16, and 4 blocks. This salary on Whiteside to me is the most ridiculous. And there's some crazy ones. The most ridiculous price tag anywhere across the industry today.
I don't get it. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
It
I
is
completely understand
ridiculous.
why he's 50% owned.
Yeah, unless Moses Brown siphons off some of those minutes. I'm joking. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I gave him 32. It's I just don't know how you get away from Whiteside on DK today.
Normally, I've been giving him 33,
Yeah.
but I don't need to.
No, neither do I. Yeah, I'm going to get him one way or the other. $6,600 CJ looks pretty good on DK as well. Like, I would say Dame is my least favorite Blazer.
I mentioned McCollum earlier just because the price is reasonable. I mean, I don't know how different his floor and ceiling are from Zach LaVine. I think like a mean projection for LaVine's always going to be higher, of course. But is it seriously? You think about it, like CJ McCollum. Yeah, his ceiling probably isn't quite as high, but you're not getting routine 50 fantasy point games from LaVine every day.
No,
and you aren't from McCollum either. He's just almost $2,000 cheaper, and he's going up against the Phoenix Suns. So I don't mind McCollum here at all. I think you're right. Lillard might be the least appealing from all of these guys. I still like Lillard though.
100%.
But we need to talk about Carmelo Anthony.
I know.
Because listen, he's getting ownership.
Yeah.
On DraftKings, he's coming in as the 8th highest owned player overall. 31% ownership right now. Getting a ton of minutes, rebounding well enough.
That's crazy to think that you just mentioned that he is 8th. He's 4th on the team.
Amazing. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Portland is ultra chalk.
Yeah. I get it. I get it.
That's insane, though. You have 4 of the top 8 guys are all on the same team.
I'll tell you this much. I would expect the biggest bust, if those ownership numbers hold, to be one of the Portland guys.
Yep. Probably Melo.
It'll probably be Whiteside.
I think it's very difficult for Whiteside to bust at this price point against Phoenix unless he gets in foul trouble.
Which is not outside the realm of possibility.
No, it's not. Been a lot better, though, lately.
He has.
Been a lot better.
He absolutely has. If I'm ranking these guys on FanDuel, it goes Whiteside, McCollum, Melo, Lillard. Same story for me on DraftKings. And then Kent Bazemore, feel free to use as you need, but he stinks.
Whiteside, McCollum, Lillard, Melo for me. Although I think that Melo price point is very, very reasonable.
I agree. Would you rather have Dame or Donovan Mitchell today? Donovan Mitchell is at 1/3 of the ownership.
That's difficult given the ownership. In a vacuum, it's Dame for me, no question.
Agreed.
But I don't know. I'd probably rather have neither of them. I think Mitchell's fine. Meaning like neither in terms of ownership. If I had to make that decision, that range of players below them is so friendly. What's LaVine's ownership coming in at?
Might beat me to this. LaVine is at
8%. I actually might go LaVine at his ownership, just knowing that, like I said, Milwaukee really does struggle to limit the 3 ball.
Yeah.
You could get a ceiling game from LaVine here. They're only 6-point dogs. The line is actually moving towards them. Like I said, I think LaVine's overpriced, but in tournaments, I'm not afraid to get there. No way I'm touching him in cash. But yeah, I actually like him more than Mitchell at that price and ownership.
Now we're going to need to try to hash out some of this Phoenix nonsense.
Shoot.
Like,
I'll follow your lead.
Dario Saric just doesn't play now. Plays like 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, so weird. He was getting 33 before that.
Frank Kaminsky played 7 minutes in the last game. He's playing essentially just backup center minutes, maybe. We've got Rubio, Booker, and Oubre all in the 20s in ownership on FanDuel. Not nearly as high on DK. But Aaron Baines is 4,900 on DK and picking up some love. I like him even more on FanDuel, where he's 4,300. This strikes me as a decent spot for Baines as well. So I like Baines, then Oubre, then Rubio on FanDuel. Booker would be my least favorite option. What do you want to do with this Phoenix team? Does anybody else stand out to you? They're not getting any ownership otherwise.
It's tough because this should be a competitive game. It has the highest total on the slate. As a matter of fact, both teams are top 4 in implied total. Portland at 117.8, Phoenix at 113.3. That's nice for sure. But you're right. It's been a weird team to try and evaluate. I would say Aaron Baines, depending on what price you're getting him at, to me is probably the most appealing. 30 minutes from Aaron Baines is solid. And yeah, oddly, I think he'd probably be the guy that I like most here, assuming I'm projecting him for 30 minutes. Oubre is going to get a ton of run, and his price is still very reasonable. Now, without the minutes, Oubre you could argue that Oubre has been very underwhelming because of how many minutes he's a sub fantasy point per minute guy this season. And then Devin Booker, I can't stress it enough. Without Rubio, he has really been a different player. But maybe I can throw this back to you before we close it out. Maybe we're starting to see some difference here. He's gotten up 47 shots over his last 2 games against the Warriors and Kings. I would hope it's a sign of things to come. I don't care if Rubio's out there or Oubre's getting big minutes. There's no excuse for Devin Booker to not be shooting 20 times per game.
No, he's the one that should be.
Yep.
Maybe now is the time where that starts. I probably won't have a ton of him as of right now. Just he grades out as like my least favorite Sun. There are so many guys that are just wildly underpriced today that, $7,500 Devin Booker doesn't have the same sort of trigger to my mind like some of these other guys.
Yep. I hear you. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Sum it up.
But I think Baines sub 5K is still pretty good.
Yeah. Baines 4,300 on FanDuel. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to pay all the way down for that. Are you really that worried about Hassan Whiteside? I'm not.
Not at all. I mean, defensively, Portland has struggled.
And what happens if Whiteside picks up 2 fouls?
I know. They're allowing you get Moses Brown, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're allowing the most putback points this season, the most second chance points. They've struggled to protect the rim. Yeah, it's a good spot.
Sum it all up for me. What do you like DraftKings today?
It's real. Honestly, I won't avoid the question, but I do want to preface it with it's really difficult to say, knowing that Giannis is questionable, Towns is questionable, and Bradley Beal are questionable. That changes so much because the obvious answer, if Giannis is out, Middleton and Bledsoe become 2 of my favorite plays easily. If Beal is out, I really like Isaiah Thomas. But I'd say right now with what we have, I've got to go back to Miami with Butler and Bam Adebayo on DraftKings. Those 2 guys are unbelievably appealing at their price points. And then like I said, I'm going to throw Levine out there. I've come around to him in tournaments. Pretty appealing if everything holds the same, but Butler and Adebayo for me right now.
FanDuel for me, I don't even know how you hash out point guard. Goran Dragic for sure. And if Ricky Rubio is going to be half the ownership of Damian Lillard, I think I would just like to take that bit of a discount. At shooting guard, if Giannis is out, it's Chris Middleton all the way.
No question.
If Andrew Wiggins is in, it's absolutely Andrew Wiggins. Small forward, Kelly Oubre, one way or the other. And then Carmelo Anthony, probably my second favorite small forward. Power forward's an easy one. It's just Christian Wood. Don't overthink it. But I do like Robert Covington at power forward if Cat stays out. And then at center, Drummond if I'm paying all the way up. Aaron Baines if I'm paying all the way down.
I should also mention, I think it's obvious, but Whiteside on DraftKings 7,100 and Christian Wood is going to be like, the most popular player on the slate for good reason. So, yeah.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us. 6 games up and down. Let Laffy go and get some rest. Got to be back for the deeper dive a little bit later. As do I for Live Before Lock with Chris Spags. Lofty, do you have anything else?
No, if you guys, enjoy the show and want to help support us, the easiest way to do it is by hitting that thumbs up button, liking the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. All of the super chats never go unnoticed. We appreciate you guys the most and all of our premium subscribers. But yeah, hitting that thumbs up is a very simple, free way to do it as well. And we appreciate that.
Any updates on NFL content?
Yeah, I mean, just stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of NBA or NFL stuff coming up for the playoffs. You get Saturday and Sunday games. So we'll have a Friday show, maybe 2 Friday shows, Saturday deeper dive, Live Before Lock. And then I think we'll do something with Sunday in terms of maybe a showdown slate or the 2-game Sunday slate. So we're going to make sure everything's covered. We got it taken care of.
There you go, guys. Keep your eyes peeled for that information. Thank you again for joining us. Please hit the like button while you're leaving, and we will talk to you again a little bit later. Good luck tonight.